There is a white powder sitting on a hardware store shelf right now, priced at under $1 per application, that will end a termite infestation and protect the wood in your home for decades. And the $2.8 billion termite control industry has spent years and millions of lobbying dollars working to ensure that in 23 states, applying it to your own home is a regulatory violation. Not because it doesn't work, because it works too well. The compound is called disodium octaborate tetrahydrate. Entomologists at public universities have published peer-reviewed studies on it. The U.S. military has used it to protect structures in tropical climates, where termite pressure is severe enough to collapse an unprotected building within years. And it retails for approximately $3 a pound. Your home sits inside an industry that generates $5 billion in annual termite damage claims. That is the USDA's own figure. And a parallel industry generating $2.8 billion every year, selling you the management of that damage. Not the cure, the management. And today, that arrangement ends. If you are new here, this channel is where cheap solutions come out of the vault and expensive service contracts go in the trash. Subscribe now, because what I am about to show you is exactly the type of knowledge that becomes harder to find the longer it stays online. The history of boron-based termite treatment does not start in someone's garage. It does not start with a DIY blogger or a natural remedy forum. It starts in the early 1900s when structural engineers working in the Pacific, Hawaii, Guam, the Philippines, discovered that lumber treated with dissolved boron compounds resisted the kind of subterranean and dry wood termite pressure that was destroying untreated buildings within years of construction. By 1933, New Zealand had formalized borate wood treatment as a national building standard. Read that again. A country on the other side of the world made boron-based termite protection a building code requirement in 1933. 90 years later, the average American homeowner is still being handed a $2,400 service contract and told that's the only professional option available. The U.S. military adopted borate wood treatment protocols for tropical-based construction starting in the Pacific theater of the Second World War. Not because it was experimental, because it was the most reliable, longest-lasting, lowest-cost protection available. A 2007 study published by the University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences documented 100% mortality in eastern subterranean termite colonies exposed to borate-treated wood over a 28-day observation period. Not a significant reduction, not a meaningful improvement, 100% mortality. The mechanism is worth understanding because it explains everything about why this compound works and why it threatens a billion-dollar industry. Boron interferes with the digestive enzymes in a termite's gut. When a termite ingests treated wood or grooms borate dust from its own body or the bodies of its colony mates, it loses the ability to extract energy from food. It does not die on contact, it starves. And because termites are social insects that groom each other constantly, the transmission through a colony is not incidental. It is systematic. A single point of borate exposure can propagate through an entire colony over the course of days. That is not an accident of chemistry. That is precisely the mechanism that makes this compound a termite colony's structural collapse, not a deterrent. A collapse. Now, let's talk about why you have never heard this from an exterminator. The U.S. structural pest control industry reports $2.8 billion in annual revenue. Termites are the single largest revenue driver in that number, not by a small margin. The business model is not elimination. The business model is management. A company that treats your home once, hands you a bag of powder and a guide, and never hears from you again. That company made one payment from you. A company that charges you $300 to $450 every year to inspect, retreat, and renew a monitoring contract, that company made $3,000 to $4,500 from you over 10 years. And those contracts auto-renew, and they carry early termination fees. Rollins Incorporated, the parent company of Orkin, one of the two largest pest control companies in the country, reported $2.6 billion in total revenue in 2022. The majority of their residential income was generated not by one-time treatments, but by recurring annual service agreements. Terminix, their largest competitor, reported $2.1 billion that same year. Same revenue structure, same recurring model. These are not exterminator companies. They are subscription businesses dressed in the uniform of exterminator companies. And subscriptions require a problem that never fully goes away. You cannot patent boric acid. It is a naturally occurring mineral compound. You cannot trademark it, formulate a proprietary version, or build a recurring revenue model around a product that bonds to wood permanently and does not require annual replenishment. What cannot be owned cannot be subscribed to, and what cannot be subscribed to cannot generate quarterly earnings. That is not a conspiracy. That is supply chain economics, and it has shaped an entire regulatory landscape designed around it. If you have made it this far, you already know more about termite treatment than the majority of homeowners in this country. Subscribe and share this with someone who is still writing annual checks to a pest control company. Everything the industry buried is in the vault. The link is in the description. Here is where the regulation becomes very specific and very deliberate. The National Pest Management Association, the industry's primary lobbying body in Washington and in state legislatures, has consistently advocated for regulations that classify termite treatment as a restricted use activity requiring a licensed pest control operator. In 23 states today, applying a termiticide to your own home, even a low-toxicity borate compound, even an EPA-registered product you purchased legally at a hardware store, without a licensed professional present, is a regulatory violation subject to fines. In California, in Florida, in New York, and in 20 other states, the law does not say you cannot buy borate powder. It says you cannot use it for termite treatment without a license. Think about what that means. You can purchase the product. You can read the label. The moment you apply it to your own wall stud with the intent to kill the termites destroying it, you are in violation of state regulations that an industry trade association helped write, lobby through committee, and place on the books. That is not consumer protection. That is market protection. And it has been extraordinarily effective at keeping that service contract revenue exactly where it belongs, in their accounts, not yours. Here is exactly how to do this. Step 1. Identify your termite type. Drywood termites, common in the southeast, southwest, and coastal regions, live entirely inside the wood they consume. You will find their frass, which looks like tiny pellets of compressed sawdust, near baseboards, window frames, and door casings. Subterranean termites, present in every state except Alaska, build mud tubes from the soil to your structure. Borate treatment is highly effective for drywood termites and for preventative protection on exposed wood. If you have an active, established subterranean colony with existing mud tubes and structural damage, you need to address the soil colony first. I will cover that in a separate video. Step 2. Source your product. The professional grade version is called Timbor. Its full chemical name is disodium octaborate tetrahydrate. It is available online and at building supply stores for approximately $30 for a 1.5-pound bag, which treats roughly 1,000 square feet of exposed wood. The accessible hardware store version is boric acid powder, available under several generic labels for $3 to $5 per pound. Both are EPA registered. Both work through the same boron mechanism. Step 3. For surface wood treatment, mix Timbor at 1 pound per gallon of clean water and apply to bare, unfinished wood with a brush or low-pressure garden sprayer. Joists, sill plates, wall framing, attic rafters, subfloor, any exposed wood surface in your crawl space, attic, or during a renovation. The solution penetrates dry, unfinished wood. Painted or sealed surfaces will block absorption, so surface treatment requires access to bare wood. Step 4. For active drywood termite galleries, use a bulb duster or puffer bottle to inject dry boric acid powder directly into visible gallery holes, frass kickout holes, and any wall or ceiling voids with suspected activity. Use a thin application nozzle, available for under $8 at any hardware store. The powder adheres to the insects' bodies and spreads through the colony during grooming. You do not need volume, you need coverage. Step 5. Address moisture. Borates treat the wood. Moisture control removes the primary condition that attracts termites in the first place. Termites need cellulose and moisture. A crawlspace vapor barrier, proper foundation ventilation, and grading that directs water away from your structure will double the durability of any treatment, chemical or borate. Spend $10 on a tube of hydraulic cement, sealing any foundation cracks. It is the most cost-effective termite deterrent you can add to any borate treatment. Step 6. Retreat exposed wood every 3 to 5 years in high humidity climates. The Gulf Coast, the Pacific Northwest, Hawaii, where moisture can gradually leach borate from surface-treated wood over time. In dry climates, a single treatment on protected interior wood can last indefinitely. I need to be straightforward with you about the limits of this, because this channel does not deal in miracle cures. Borate treatment has real limitations, and I will not pretend otherwise. It does not reach established subterranean termite colonies nesting in soil beneath your foundation. It does not penetrate finished, painted, or sealed wood surfaces. Applied to exterior wood in wet climates, it will leach out over time. And it is not a fast kill contact product. It works through ingestion and colony transmission over days, not hours. If you have a structure with significant existing structural compromise, you need a professional assessment of the damage before anything else. What borate treatment is, a genuinely effective long-duration wood preservative and termite deterrent for accessible bare wood, new construction, renovation projects, and active drywood termite treatment. What it is not, a universal substitute for every professional termite service in every situation. That distinction matters. Any channel that does not make it is selling you something. A homeowner named Daniel Ferreira from Sarasota, Florida, one of the highest termite pressure metro areas in the continental United States, posted a detailed account on a home improvement forum in 2019 describing what happened after he discovered drywood termite activity in his attic framing. He received a professional estimate for $2,600 for a tent fumigation treatment. Instead, he purchased 2 bags of Timbor, a pump sprayer, and a bulb duster. Total cost, $94. He treated every accessible rafter, ridge board, and collar tie. He injected boric acid powder into every frass hole he could locate. He sealed his attic ventilation gaps with hardware cloth. 4 years later, 0 new frass, 0 new gallery activity. The framing he treated in 2019 showed no signs of reinfestation at his last inspection. His neighbor, in a similar structure, paid for professional treatment the same year, and has since renewed the annual monitoring contract 3 times at $320 per renewal. Daniel spent $94. His neighbor has spent $3,560 and counting. If you have used borate treatment on your own home or any low-cost termite solution the industry told you would not work, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. Tell me the state, the product, the situation, and what happened. Those comments are the most useful resource in this video for the next person who finds it. Your grandfather's generation knew about borates. Many of them used them without a second thought, because before the modern pest control subscription model was engineered into American homeownership, wood preservation was common knowledge passed down through tradespeople, farmers, and builders. The knowledge did not disappear. It was buried under decades of television advertising from companies with billion-dollar revenue targets, buried under regulations written by lobbyists in state capitals, buried under the assumption, carefully cultivated and carefully reinforced, that pest control is something you hire, not something you do. Borate did not change. The chemistry that entomologists documented in 1907 is the same chemistry sitting in that Timbor bag today. The compound that the New Zealand Building Code adopted in 1933 is available to you right now for $30. It was always there. It was always waiting. The termite control industry generates $5 billion in damage claims every year. Not because there is no solution, but because the solution has no marketing budget, no shareholder to answer to, no quarterly earnings call. You know now, and knowing is the part they spent the most money trying to prevent. Subscribe if you want to keep pulling things out of the vault. Share this video with one person who owns a home and is still paying for a service contract they were told they could not cancel. Because that is exactly the kind of move they built those 23 state regulations to stop you from making. The next vault opens soon, and what they buried this time goes considerably deeper.